Greetings sailors and welcome back to World of Warships and a game of mine in the Zieten. And after a dozen or so battles, I can't even remember which battle number this would have been, but you know, a couple of hours of playtime, I finally had an okay game in it. And of course it was a top tier game because all of the tier 10 games I've had have been short-lived and not very pleasant because it's a somewhat squashy ship. I find myself not enjoying it overall for reasons I will elaborate on. I will point out though, as you've possibly noticed, there's no sound in this recording. For some reason it didn't record, and it's too late to re-record because this is just from the end of the last patch and we're now on to 11.1 and the replay won't play again. So yeah, you just have to imagine the pew pew noises, I guess. Mildly annoying, but as I say, there's nothing I can do about it. So for the first 10 or 11 games, I actually had just a fairly standard survivability build to try and make the ship a bit more survivable. One of the hallmarks of this is, unlike other tier 8s which have 32mm bows, this only has a 27mm bow. And you couple that with one less heel, and the fact that it has limited damage control parties, the fact that it's not especially maneuverable or stealthy. It has all of the squashiness, well, not all of the squashiness, but a large portion of the squashiness of other 6-gun ships at this tier, like the Champagne and the Borodino, but it doesn't have their advantages, and it certainly doesn't have their range. It's got an 18-kilometer range, which is only just barely an upgrade on the Heinrich that came before it. And I have to say, I didn't really, to the same extent, have the same trouble with the Heinrich, and I think a big part of that was the matchmaking is just harsher for the Zieten. Tier 7 doesn't get down tiered, it feels like, quite as often as your tier 8s do, and when you're in a squashy tier 8 that doesn't have range or stealth or maneuverability to work for it, well, you know, in the case of a battleship, but even in the case of a cruiser, I suppose, it's not especially a fun experience, and I've just been really struggling to make this thing work. The standard survivability build, I was really struggling. I absolutely was just getting hammered. I was having games where I was doing 30 or 40k damage and then just getting completely pancaked. And as I say, it was especially true in tier 10 games. But once I decided to spend some doubloons and respec the captain and change the ship loadout a bit and just go full secondaries, which gets you up to, I think, 11.5. I mean, I won't say it's any more survivable. In fact, obviously it's now less survivable because I have less points to put into the relevant survivability skills, but I am at least getting more damage out of my games from the secondaries. The downside is you have to get close enough to use the secondaries, and it's still kind of garbage in tier 10 games when getting close enough is not that easy, and of course you're then operating with the penalty of not having that extra bit of main battery dispersion, accuracy, the opposite of dispersion, the negative dispersion. I know what I mean. You know what I mean. That module that gives you the 7% reduction in main battery dispersion, and for some reason I have struggled mightily to find the words to express that. But anyway, so you're going from it doesn't feel like a super accurate ship with it to without it, it's even less so. And although yes, you do have a fairly fast reload, it's still, it doesn't feel like a good combination, and I think it is just the fact that you don't have the range, you don't have the accuracy of things like the Borodino and the Champagne, which actually are squashier in they have 25mm extremities as opposed to 27mm, which I can't remember what threshold that crosses, that 2mm of armour, but there is some threshold that's at work there. I think it's between 15 and 16-inch guns in terms of overmatch. Anyway, so yeah, overall, this has just felt like a real struggle bus, And now that I at least have the secondaries to work with, if I can get into a position of using them, then yay, it's some extra damage. But for me, this is like the Sen Yang. And the Sen Yang, for those who are unaware, because I've not really covered any Pan-Asian destroyers recently, and it's certainly been a long time since I ground through them. That was my least favourite of the Pan-Asian destroyer line by far. It felt like a side grade from the rather good Tier 7, and especially compared to the Benson, which is not known for being the most amazing Tier 8 destroyer, it doesn't feel like it's on a par. It definitely feels like one of the weaker Tier 8 destroyers overall. So this is kind of invoking the same feelings for me, only in battleship form, and I tend to not that often meet battleships that I don't like. I think this is going to fall for me into the same category as a lot of the Italian battleships, where after I ground through them I just don't play them again. But I'm hoping at least once I get to Tier 10 it'll be worth it, because everyone is raving about the Schlieffen. Although no, my luck, I will get to it just as it is being nerfed, which it probably does deserve. Things are overall not looking good in this match, but we are finally taking the C cap, and yeah, down here in the A cap, well, we had... I mean, this was Zietens versus Bismarcks, and in that fight, the Bismarck all day, every day, basically. The other Zieten that was with me parked themselves up and then really put themselves in a position where they were going to struggle to maneuver and actually get away. And, well, they've then just absolutely taken the brunt of the beating when they were trying to get away. And I've still taken a fair old beating myself, but I'm still maneuverable and I'm still in the fight. And that is, well, you know, if I can stay alive, if I can distract this people, I can wait for my allies to show up, then... yeah, I'm not completely alone. I've got the Kagero with me, who has been, I think, overall playing relatively sensible. They have been arguably a bit on the cautious side, but I'm glad to have them with me rather than not. I think they were a bit more effective than the other Zieten was. And at this stage, I know my only chance to take out this higher health, more survivable, better firepower Bismarck is to try and close the distance, maybe get some torpedoes off, maybe even hope that my secondaries set a bunch of fires. But as it is, his secondaries are setting lots of fires on me. I've got triple fires going at the moment, and I'm struggling to get any fires in return. I didn't put IFHE on this. It's not really necessary with German battleships, so this is just sheer bad luck at this point, with not getting any fires in return. And that has burned off a lot of hit points. And here's where I wish I had an extra heal. But no, you only get 4 instead of 5 that other battleships get. So, yay! I'm hopefully not in a position where the other Bismarck can shoot me right now. And they seem to have been firing some high explosive anyway. So, yeah. Although, when I'm at this low health, that would probably still kill me. So it's a Kagero fire that finishes him off? Did I even set a single fire on that guy? I don't know. RNGesus was just very cruel to me there. But I'm almost now at 125k, and that is almost my lot, in fact. I'm not going to get to do much more than that, because I really need to not die. There is a low yang around somewhere, so that's why I have pinged my hydro. My main thought is, though, to try and get to cover, because that enemy Bismarck's still around, and yes, still firing high explosive. And really all I need to do is just not die and wait for these remaining allies, who are a pair of very healthy looking Tirpitzes and a Kiev, who is just about to start capping B. So there are the torpedoes. I have plenty of warning. In a healthier battleship, in a Bismarck or something, I might have gone, right, okay, I have hydro, I might try and push this smoke. I know they've put their torpedoes out and they don't have a particularly quick reload, but when I have this amount of health, no, I'm just going to hide. and I'm going to protect my points from being taken by the enemy, because there's literally nothing else I can do if I don't want to screw my team over. I don't really have the range for long range shots here, and it's not like you even get the choice of putting a spotter plane on to give you a boost sometimes. So yeah, it's kind of a boring end to this match, unfortunately, but it's also the only match so far where I felt like I've made a substantial difference to the outcome whilst playing the Zieten, and it's certainly the first match I've managed to get over 100,000 damage in, although, as you'll see from the end score screens, a large part of that will be from secondaries, and I think I did get some fire damage. It was only 3 fires though overall, and considering the number of shots fired, yeah. Couple of sneaky shots there on that Bismarck, or pair of Bismarcks, just at the max range and trying to basically not be spotted too long, but yeah, there's no way I was going to charge in head first. I would get focused hard, and given how healthy those remaining 2 Tirpitzes are, they're really, like, there wasn't any need for me to do it. They had the health to absorb stuff. We also had some nonsense in the chat that you might have noticed, and I don't even know what to say about that other than I've seen worse, but still, chat nonsense very rarely feels necessary. All that's left now is just the low Yang. Kiev is basically diving in close, trying to spot, and there they are. They're very low health, and the Kiev gets the final blow. So, a Dreadnought and a close quarters out of that, only 1 kill, 125k damage, like I say, by far my best result. I don't know if I could do much better without either getting really lucky with Citadel hits, or else getting into a position where I can fire off lots of torpedoes and land lots of torpedoes. It does have long-range torpedoes, you know, we'll give it that, but they're also those slow torps you find on the second German destroyer line, so they take a while to get anywhere. Only 60k main battery damage, 21k from the torps, 19k from secondary hits, and actually 24k combined from fires and floodings. Only 16k of that was from the 3 fires though. And I've also put in my captain setup, so you can see that yes, it is a more or less full secondary build. So overall, Zieten, unless it gets some love, is going to be one of those ships that I just grind through and then forget about, because it's just not a nice ship to play, and it does kind of feel like a bit of a sore spot on the line. I'm sure there are some people out there that are doing it very well with it and that are enjoying it, but yeah, it's just not a ship I am getting on with. I just don't enjoy its awkward combination of characteristics and its awkward turret arrangement. It just all mixes together into a whole that is something I want to get through and just be done with. It's not even one that I would, I think, revisit just for laughs like I do with some of the Italian battleships. Hell, some of the Italian battleships I actually kind of like. Maybe not the Vittorio Veneto, which is also at tier 8, but yeah, some of them I do go and play to actually have fun with. But yeah, this not so much. So yeah, it's as unfun as it is ugly, at least to me. Anyway, so that is it for this replay. Hopefully you have enjoyed it, and if you did, you can do all the usual things down underneath the video, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.